confirm you can hear it.
And would you talk again? It sounds kind of quiet on this side.
You what, Virgo?
It just sounds kind of quiet.
It's better now.
Still about the same.
I had this issue last night. I'm not sure how much I think it might be a WebEx issue. So if everyone just talks closely in your microphone, I'm hoping Erica and Chris will just have to listen really hard.
Okay.
Okay, so we will call the meeting to order at 7:34 p.m. First up on the agenda is a discussion of the C&D program.
So Nikki couldn't be here tonight, and I realized that that's probably not going to be the best. Is it possible would everyone be comfortable moving that to next month when she can be here?
What happens in the meantime between now and then?
Nothing.
Okay.
The program just runs. So what it is, it's a construction and demolition program. So every person who pulls a permit for demolition or some sort of major renovation or build is going to pay a C&D deposit. The town automatically is going to keep 30% for just the administration of that project. And then a homeowner is eligible to receive up to 70% of those funds back if they're able to divert their construction material. What we're finding though is that we're missing a little bit of the incentive for a lot of contractors. It's just easier to lose the money than to go through the process of filling out the paperwork to get it back. And so the program, while that money funds projects that maybe SAB wants to do, that's not the purpose of it. The purpose of it is to return the 70%. So we're missing the mark a little bit there, and to explore with SAB ways we can incentivize this more. I can send you the form. It's very involved. The spreadsheet itself, the application itself. There maybe is a way to better this, you know, and so I think it's twofold. How do you want to spend the money that comes out of the C&D? Because currently there's about 16,000 fund that we will not be returning. So there's a pot of money sitting there. Second to that is how do we actually make the program work for what it's meant to be? So Nikki oversees that program, which is why I'd love to hold off on further discussion until she's here. It's her team that manages it.
Yeah, that sounds good. We'll talk about that in October and everybody be trying to brainstorm ways to incentivize people to actually recycle.
All right, two questions. Number one, or I guess just one. What are appropriate uses for the money for the people who don't claim it?
So what we have in the frequently asked questions is that it should be used for sustainability and zero waste efforts. We don't earmark it for anything more than that very broad term. It's not, we don't have budgeted expenses that come out of this. So I think we need to look at it as a part of the 2023 budget, is estimating how much we anticipate getting in the C&D project and then identifying the expenditure line item that would allow you to actually use the funds. But it can serve as a funding stream for SAB, kind of like ProSAB has the Conservation Trust Fund, not nearly as large, but still an opportunity to have access to funds.
Just ask, would it be an appropriate use of those funds to pay for whatever extra money we need to install the DC fast chargers that the town owns that are sitting in like a warehouse? And I think we're waiting for like something to put them in. That's last you and I spoke about. And I can't remember what we were waiting for, but it seemed like it might be money.
The sidewalk, it's not money, it's a sidewalk. Yeah, so sure, you can use it as like match funding. I wouldn't use it to that because that project's already paid for through grant funding, but you could choose to hold it. And that's kind of what ProSAB does with their conservation money, and they hold it for match. It's a small match, but it's still better than nothing. Because right now, I think what SAB goes to want to seek out grants, you're looking to try to pull from departments. And that gets tough. Departments are going to want to keep every penny that they have. And so Eric and I have talked quite a bit about figuring out how this can be the funding arm a bit for SAB.
Cool, till next time.
Yes.
All right, if nobody else has any other questions on that. Looks like Laura joined us. Hi, Laura. And we will move on to recommendations for advisory boards.
So I had asked that Melody add this on because, you know, I obviously spend a lot of time with different boards and commissions and noticed that recently the boards are moving to this kind of champion model. And I know staff's done that a little bit, but where every single member of the board is championing a certain project. They are like the chair of that project. They're moving it forward. And I just wondered if staff was interested in a similar structure. I think you're starting to get there with US Solar and Rights of Nature, but maybe with all the goals that you've recently discussed, each person could kind of grab onto a project and serve as that chair, that champion. It's helpful to staff when we know there's chairs and champions because we know who to call and not always go through Erica. So I just wanted to offer that recommendation and just see how that felt for staff because DDA, ProSAP, BOT, Youth Advisory Board, and Planning Commission have all moved to that structure.
I love this idea. I've actually done it before in a nonprofit setting within college. Champion model does exactly this. All of our staff people had to take on a particular program that was modeled out by our board. And that was kind of basic to the staff. And we were superb at what we did. This went on for 8 years. Champion model. So I'll just stop right there, but absolutely.
One question is, how many goals do we have and how many orphan goals are going to come out of this because nobody cares about the champion?
I'm not sure I'm the right one to answer that.
Of champions. You find partner. The idea is to get inspired by the agenda for the board. And so sometimes, and actually our board, just down in Boulder, was a set of people. They would lead us on these future plan retreats, actually, usually in some incredible setting. So we're not going to, I don't see us doing that, but I'm just sort of telling you, but the result of that was we could do forward planning. And we already have, seems to me, a working agenda, fairly decent one. It'd be easy to frame it together. Now, this is big thinking, and what she's introducing is forward thinking. Or just get a look in tune.
Sounds like a reasonable idea to me, I think. We very active board. So I think if someone who doesn't champion particular issue, that's all that voice I think this is
Alan, Tom, I always appreciate what you guys have to say, and it's hard to hear you. Larry, I could hear you all right, but if folks could speak up, that would be really helpful.
Okay, I'll speak more directly into the microphone. I think it's a reasonable idea, and I think it's kind of shaking out that way to some degree. And, I'm happy to be a champion for rights of nature, for example. And I don't think that precludes other people from joining in on a particular issue. And then as a board, I think we've operated pretty well with just, as a group, taking on some things.
This is discussion, so we don't have to decide anything tonight, right?
No, it was really just offering, no, it's very sensitive. It's really just offering an observation and a recommendation. I do think staff is starting to move that way, but what I've seen is having a champion or chair, whatever that is. We're watching a lot of that momentum go forward. And then you also have kind of that sunshine law component where maybe you have the co-chairs who can do more work without you know, constantly having to publicly notice and those gaps that come with that, they can get things started in kind of a subcommittee capacity and bring things back to the board. I've just seen it be very successful over the last couple of months and wanted to encourage that to consider something similar. So no, you don't have to decide tonight, it's just food for thought more than anything.
Behavior will make it obvious.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, this is Chris. Just a question. Is this something that is being codified within the bylaws of other commissions and boards, or is this kind of more of an ad hoc?
Good question. It's ad hoc at this
Okay.
point.
Do any other staff members have anything to add to that discussion? It sounds like we're all generally saying, yes, we think that's a good idea to kind of move forward with that kind of structure where everybody's got, you know, one project that they're helping out with, whether it's helping Erica or whether it's getting together with another staff member and starting something, putting a foot forward.
And so, and sorry, Melly, just really quick, I think so after the end of every kind of discussion or whatever it is that you're talking about, you identify who that chair or champion is. And then every agenda has standing updates from each group. And so that's the kind of the accountability to come back. DDA has always had that structure where each subcommittee reports back in on what's been happening over the last month.
Yeah, that's great. And I think over the years, it's kind of ebbed and flowed here where sometimes we have that when we got a lot of projects going on and then sometimes we don't. And I think we're all still trying to figure out how to deal with having Erica, a paid staff that's doing it, and also us being volunteers and juggling that. I used to joke that we should be called the Sustainability Action Committee and not the Advisory Board because just the way that we function is a lot more doing projects and less so advising. But that's with big thanks to a lot of our BOT members that have been sustainably minded and we don't have to remind them, so. So if anybody else has any other suggestions, I suppose, bring them in the next meeting or maybe send them to Miranda and let her know your thoughts on these kinds of things. And we will pick it up again next month and maybe try to figure out beyond those of us who are already on subcommittees where the other members might want to lie.
One suggestion is that we, at the conclusion of this, list what's out there and ask people to pick one, maybe 1.5. So we can at least see where people align. And then we'll know what to expect going forward.
Would you like to do that right now or?
It's gonna be another month otherwise.
I'm fine with doing it now. So I know Larry is on the Zero Waste Subcommittee. So Larry, do you feel good being like the zero waste champion?
I love it. Yes. Yes, I sort of feel like I am. Fabulous. So, yes.
Perfect.
I'll be the rights of nature champion.
Great.
No surprises so far.
Maybe I can chime in. I think Chris is doing US Solar and Rich is a part of the fleet, EV fleet conversation. Does that seem fair, Chris and Rich?
I was going to say I'd like to be the electric vehicle champion.
I was going to volunteer to be champions in the universe, but I'll take 100%.
I actually was thinking, Erica, what else? I feel like every time you and I meet, it's always a large list.
So energy efficiency is definitely one. I would also say like either outreach or community event liaison or something like that could be something.
Laura King can do that. Just kidding.
Community agriculture was kind of my realm, and I'm still connected to that kind of circle of folks, but we've kind of moved outside of SAB at this point, so I don't know if that still falls as something that we need somebody for or not. We've also got the PI meetings that I've been participating in with Erica, Partners in Energy.
Well, there's also CC4CA.
Yes,
I'd like to do that.
I'm Erica.
Yeah.
And I'll be involved virtually.
okay, that's great.
Are you saying you'd be co-chair or champion? That's big, potentially a big deal.
Community collaboration, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm thrilled, Tom, to take that on. But I'm just asking, you said taking notes. Do you just want to chime in with letting people?
You mean it's CC4CA?
Yeah.
I was talking about the organization. We're talking about the same thing.
The communities for Colorado Communities for Climate Action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we want to join hands on that?
Yeah, I can be part of the team.
Good. Deal.
Great. So we've got Alan and Tom that are gonna step up for the CC4CA connection in those meetings. I know Erica also definitely connects with all those folks.
Do we have a solution on pie? Did we get it? Do we have a champion for that?
I mean, right now it's me. If anybody else wants to do it, I'm happy to pass the torch.
The dessert. What is
Partners in Energy. So it's a program through Excel where they help us with our energy goals. So right now they're going to be helping us with the US solar campaign and rolling that out.
Just to clarify, we have 3 Partners in Energy campaigns right now. One Rich has been part of, and Tim Rader, which is the EV pie plan, and they're helping us do an EV action plan for Nederland. And then one is the graduate program that Melody's talking about, where they're ready to help us with US Solar. And then the third is the Boulder County Regional EV Working Group, and that's in the implementation stage right now. So it gets a little confusing. There is 3 separate pie campaigns right now.
Thanks, Erica.
Erica, from what you've seen, do we have a champion for each of the 3?
Yeah,
Pretty
so yeah, I would say Rich with the EV, and Tim Rader, who's excited to come to these meetings, just hasn't lined up with the schedule. And then for the graduate program, Melody, if you're comfortable continuing with that, you were part of the 2019 initial PI plan. So it's always great to have you, but if there's other people interested in joining that, it would be great to have additional support. And then the regional, I've really been going to those meetings, and if other people are interested, for example, Rich, if you had time and you wanted to join that larger EV regional collaboration, that's another opportunity as well. I feel like we have our bases covered now, but it's always great to have more help and support.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. Just send me the information.
Got it.
That's something I'd be very interested in doing.
Okay.
All right. How's everybody feeling about that?
I'm wondering about green business. Wondering if Erica has a comment, whether a champion is needed.
Yeah. So let's take a moment and let's all put our hands together for Melody, who is the ED of the Carousel of Happiness, and they just received gold designation in the Green Business Network. Yes. So kudos to Melody. They were the one business that got through the program this summer. We had two others start it, but didn't necessarily make it all the way through or had some challenges along the way. So the Green Business Network really, from my perspective, has kind of been set aside for the moment. Part of that is natural because the program itself closed June, end of June, I believe. And they're recognizing businesses this Friday in Denver. They're having a big celebration. So kind of naturally, the year closed on that program, and now they're opening it up for the next year and the next round of designations. But that won't be recognized again until end of June next year, 2023. So my vision was to really kind of ramp that up again this fall as things start to slow down with the farmers market and other events. Once we get kind of a good stance with the US solar campaign and have things rolling. But it would be awesome to have somebody, if they're interested in that program, that wants to participate. At this point, it's really been myself and Matt Hannon that, well, and Melody. Melody, you were there for obviously the Carousels application and helped with some others as well. But if other people are interested in kind of learning about that program and becoming part of that team, that would be great as well. It's still an iterative process. So we're learning a lot as we go, and we're definitely in a feedback back and forth with the state on the program. Does that
Yeah,
help?
having been through the application, it's quite long and tedious, and I can see how it would be a burden on some business owners. So I'm definitely happy to help support anybody that may need help going through that application. And then if anybody here is interested, I also printed out the manual. It's like 100 and something pages of the reasoning behind each of the questions and the rubric kind of how they score those questions, so you can get a better understanding of like, what are you answering when you say yes or no to this question. Yeah, so that seems like something we'll want to champion for in a few months then maybe.
Did I hear you say you would be that champion? Congrats to Carousel.
Yeah, I'll say Scott Harrison was a big part of that. When he built that building, he wanted to make sure that it was, you know, sustainable and it had a good footprint. And he built it as a LEED demonstration building and never got certified LEED, but it was meant to demonstrate different concepts of LEED. So it wasn't all me. I just did the paperwork. All right. So I think it sounds like everybody's kind of a champion of something. I don't know that we've heard from Laura, but I know she's mentioned in the past kind of that liaison with the
Can you guys
school.
hear me?
Yes.
We do.
I'm having sound problems.
You're good now.
You guys hear me?
Yep.
I don't think I can hear you now.
Can you hear me, Laura?
I can't hear anything. But it sounds like you can hear me. Anyway, it's a little weird. I think I'm gonna have to log off and log back on so that I can hear you guys. So just give me a second, sorry.
Is there any other kind of like topics or projects, Erica, that you can think of that we've got going on right now, or something that's, you know, on the back burner because nobody is championing it?
Good question, Melody. So one of the things that you brought up was the community liaison, kind of somebody that's the go-to for volunteer and events. I do think that would be helpful because I'm trying to go to as many events as possible, but it's hard. And so it'd be great to have somebody that could help support with that. The other big things would be goals. Somebody that really wants to help, collaborate on sessions, brainstorm sessions around goals, and then also a climate action plan. I went to the Climate Solutions Summit in Breckenridge this past week. I wasn't able to attend the whole thing. I wasn't feeling good, but it did remind me, and they had a whole conference session on climate action versus sustainability action, and that they're very separate things. And I do feel like a climate action plan would be a very valuable thing for Nederland.
You have any good templates you brought home among a lot of the cities that participated?
Yeah, I don't have a list now, Tom, but that's kind of been on my task list of how can I synthesize some other similar communities and what they've done. They were talking about specifically some of the Summit County communities during this conference, but it'd be very easy to pull together some good examples that we could draw from. A lot of communities have used ICLEI or other outside sources to create those documents. And that may be an option for us depending on what the board would like to do in funding. But I also think it'd be valuable to have those working sessions where we really think about, what are our priorities and really come up with a cohesive plan on how we get there.
Yeah, I'd like to really second. I think it's time for us to have a climate action plan as a town. We've taken a lot of different actions, but no sort of coherent guiding document that sees the big picture of what we're trying to do. We have all these little projects, but we should have a climate action plan that can really pull them all together and direct us and serve as a new sort of guiding document as we go into developing comprehensive plan and other big documents.
And Melody, you would know the best. We have our sustainability action plan, but that's from 2014, correct?
Correct.
I don't know. I'd
Yeah.
love to hear other folks' ideas on that.
I think it's the beginning of everything. Essentially, until you can codify something into a plan, you got nothing. So I'd say if you could go back to the folks that were there this week, we did this with at BOT with annexation stuff. We pulled together 10 policies. We didn't copy any of them, but it's really good to see, number one, the timeframe they're looking at, how aggressive they're looking at in terms of setting their goals. Number three, measurement metrics and things like that. So I'd say in terms of best of practice, let's find 5 really good ones. Take a look at them and see how much they suit us. But I think it's going to be core to what we do. And going back to the previous discussion, in terms of people signing up, I think it's this one's really important because it's going to set a direction for what we do for the next year.
Well, in my experience, something like this is a classic, people use the retreat because that's what we did, but that was very Boulder and, it was different. And so,
Retreat and action are different.
okay, but even like a focused work session that was in addition to a normal meeting. And so sometimes even if it's just done in the morning, say over a breakfast, and it's just like 2-hour working breakfast.
Either can't talk or can't.
Go ahead.
You go.
Laura, we just heard you for a quick second.
Oh,
Well, so But the homework that Thomas is incredibly important. And I'm totally in favor, this is the way to go. If there are action plans out there that have been, especially have been adopted, and especially with smaller municipalities, as opposed to really big ones, but smaller ones, anywhere within under 100,000 people, a municipality that's actually done this, and I go to California, already been there, looking at zero waste stuff, they're so ahead of us, small, so, you know, Tom's right on with this. That's what I would like to see, even before having any subside work session. But we could be astonished at what we could do in one working breakfast, just let's just say here in town, with a little preparation, and I think we should do it. I really do.
My job responsibilities shifted this week, and I'm now focused on sustainability for the U.S. West Coast and Canada. And so I'm going to be reaching out to communities that are doing climate action plans. And so I'm going to be involved in this. I'd love to work with you, Erica, on this. And I would suspect, let's find out what we've got closer to home. But October and November, I'm going to be in California talking with a lot of state and local government groups about what their plans are. And I'm sure we could find some things to leverage as long as they're meaningful. The last thing in the world I want to do is embark on something that we can't do or don't want to do. But the answer is we don't have to reinvent anything. I think we're going to need to take some things that are quite good and tune it for ourselves.
That sounds great, Tom. One of the, this kind of dovetails into conversations later on the agenda, but this is something I think we could very much look at for the capstone project. If we wanted to get a team of graduate students to at least take a chunk of a climate action plan and get us started. I would absolutely want to work on this, but I don't have a ton of time given all these other things that I'm working on right now to really put into this. And it needs, this could be a full-time job to put together a plan in 6 months or a year, depending on how much we want to put into it. And I would want it to be really good and like you said, valuable, and really rooted in our community and our goals. So we can talk about that a little bit later, but I do think it'd be an awesome capstone project to pitch.
Erica, this is Kieran. I'm on the capstone team in Nederland for CU Boulder this year. And I'd be happy to chat with you about that if you need like resources or someone to connect with about that.
That would be great, Kieran. Thank you for being here. I have a list of other ideas we've thought about for projects. So I'd like to bring all those ideas to this group. But yes, I will be coming to you with one of these ideas for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I think the proposal process is kind of just getting started.
All right, well, we kind of went from community champions to goal stuff. Laura, I don't know if you can hear us now. Did she just go away? Yeah. Okay. So circling back around to community champion stuff, I think for the most part, we've got that settled. I'll try to check in with Laura and see where she's leaning on things. And then,
Melody?
Yeah.
She put in the chat that she'd like to be the BBSD education outreach person, and she included Wild Bear in that list as well.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Thank you. And then as far as goals and kind of moving forward goes, we had had a few discussions. I don't even remember when that was now, but I think we had it on the agenda twice, and then we had a lot of things come up and it didn't go back on the agenda. And I'm wondering with all these grants due in October, that maybe next month isn't a good time either, but maybe November, bringing back a goals discussion for 2022 to say 2025. How does everyone feel about that? I'm seeing nods. Okay. We will do that. And moving on, we've got a US solar update and a call for volunteers.
I put my name next to it, Erica, by accident. That's really all you.
I was just gonna ask if you wanted to take it.
I'm not the champion there. I just thought I was on the move there. I just stuck my name next to it. So Erica.
All right. So there is a lot happening right now in the US Solar Community Solar Garden campaign. I'm sure I will forget some details here, so please follow up if you have questions. Chris and Melody have been attending. It's actually the Energy Subcommittee is meeting for these US solar campaign meetings. It's on Mondays at 2 o'clock. And so we'll kind of keep it that way until the US solar campaign it ends in the end of December, and then we'll move that transition for that energy subcommittee into something else, I'm sure. But for the time being, some of the big things happening with the Community Solar Garden campaign is it's launched. We have a button on the town website. It's right on the front page. Peter's done an amazing job with that. We have our own landing page with US Solar. You all have seen that. We have an ad in the Mountaineer for 10 weeks. Nikki was very generous in supporting us with that and is paying for that through funds from her department. And I'll also write one article a month, with something about community solar and renewable energy and something pertaining to the campaign. We've got also some free social media coming from the Mountaineer with those ads, as well as some online marketing as well. So that's great. With the graduate program that Melody mentioned with Pi, we have $2,500 that they have allocated towards supporting us with outreach and events. That is going to help with a mailer at some point that will go out to residents. And then also we have an event that's happening on October 20th. I will send this out in email as well once the dates are full and finalized. But for now, the plan is October 20th, and it's going to be at the Backdoor Theater from 5:30 to 8:30. We're going to have likely pizza, salad, and a beautiful sheet cake with a printed solar garden on it, hopefully. We're going to have a panel of local experts. Chris and Melody hopefully can be there, kind of talk about the beginning of this 100%. And if others are interested, please reach out. And then we're going to do a Q&A about the Solar Garden campaign. There's also free home energy assessments that Excel is bringing to the table for the first 50 people to sign up from this event. We are also hoping to give free home energy assessments to all town board members and staff before this event as a way to really launch it and get people excited. And then also as just an appreciation for how hard everyone works. The event is going to end with a film. I'm hoping to show The Scale of Hope, which is a new Patagonia film, which is really dynamic. It's about community action, climate action through Obama's campaign. One volunteer that went to the White House with him after high school. And then some mental health challenges and climbing mountains. So I hope it really speaks to our community. It's about an hour long, and then the event will wrap up. So we're really trying to get some pieces together for that right now. Additionally, US Solar has come to the table with $1,500 to help with this event. So they'll be paying for the food and the theater rental and other, cake and other costs. So that's fantastic. We have, we're hoping to really keep with the community events, reaching out to folks. We've been at the farmers markets the last few weekends, and those are coming to a close. So if folks have other ideas for engaging with folks, please reach out. If you're interested in volunteering, please, we need you. And at some point soon, we're going to actually be doing canvassing. So we'll take this to the streets, and hopefully we'll be able to use GIS programming and find out kind of where are gaps in the community as far as folks not being signed up, and where we could really strategically target those areas and do some canvassing in those areas. So that's the most of it for the Community Solar Garden campaign, but it's been really exciting. Lots of resources have come together around the same time last week, which was great, and I look forward to getting even more things going after this October 20th event. Other things about US Solar, Chris, Melody, other things to add from folks?
Yeah, the one thing I was going to add to that, Erica, excited about the event on the 20th, and it sounds like it's coming together really well. But the one thing I didn't hear is, like, as we've launched this, we already have, what, last I heard, we're getting probably close to 20 people have signed up. So that's getting, a little under 10% of our goal already towards, our 300-person goal. So we've already got a number of people signing up on this project, and I think that's really, really wonderful and testament to how strong we're launching.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Chris, let's shoot for 500. We want to sell all these subscriptions.
Deal. By what, 2024 instead of 25? You ready to up the goal a little?
All right, is any staff members have any questions for Erica on that?
I am very impressed. Great launch. Superb website. So thanks for all your work.
It has been an amazing collaboration. There has been so much support. So it's been really fun, but I cannot take credit. It is a team effort.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I tried a new headphone and it messed up all my settings, and it was a little more complicated than I realized. So I missed some things, but I just wanted to add that I would like to kind of continue to advocate and champion for education, sustainability education with the BVSD Sustainability Board and the schools and Wild Bear and Teens Inc., all of whom I have connection with. And, that might be a nice dovetail also with the US Solar campaign, is to try to get the word out through the schools.
Laura, we should talk. I reached out to Caleb at the farmers market a few weekends ago and asked about trying to get the ad into the Friday folder. So if you, have connections there or have done that before, we should chat. And then I also had somebody send a bunch of flyers to New Explorers. So if there's other, the Teen Center, I haven't reached out to yet. I know Wild Bear has some already, but it would be great just to try to infiltrate town as much as possible.
Sounds good. We'll talk.
Great. So at this event, what do you need from us?
Well, we're putting together a panel. Hopefully someone from Excel or Pi will be able to be there. I know Chris, Melody, I've asked you both if you could be on the panel. We're also going to have Tim Hilgert from US Solar. But it'd be great to have other, all staff members there if possible. We'd like to make it family friendly, should be fun. And then we'll need just kind of help set up, take down, answering questions, just kind of being champions that you are at the event. So if folks are available, please mark your calendar, let me know.
And then this Sunday for the farmers market, do you have enough people to help out?
Yeah, so Larry's been at the farmers market, pretty much every farmers market for the year doing the zero waste booth. And I believe we're going to be paired this weekend with the zero waste booth. I know Tim Rader and Leah, I don't know Leah's last name off the top of my head, but have already committed to being there for part of the day. But if there's folks that are able to be there for the second half of the farmers market, like 12 to 2, that would be fantastic. We've got a bunch of flyers, we've got yard signs, we've got banners, and it'd be just great to really be able to engage with folks as much as possible at the big harvest event.
All right, so if any of you are available on this Sunday, the 2nd, or on October 20th for setup or tear down of that event, why don't you email Erica and let her know? Anything else on US Solar? All right, so we will move on to our action items for the night then. The first one being the rights of nature resolution. So Alan sent out a updated copy of the resolution to everybody, and you want to take it away?
Yeah, the last staff meeting I attended, Rich suggested let's have staff be. Makes a lot of sense. And then, been kind of functioning with subcommittees. This is the second Guardian subcommittee. So essentially, modifications I made to this were to collaboration with regulatory agencies. We discussed this in the previous meeting as well. So it's critical that we collaborate with the state of Colorado, Boulder County, City of Boulder, any NGOs working on watershed issues. So we don't have the expertise or the resources to really do the tasks outlined water quality, wildlife habitat, visitor impacts, wetlands protection standards, native species, stormwater management, land, industrial and commercial activities. Actually, when I was on the board of trustees, we got in touch with the state, the county, and state and county about environmental activities, issues, I should say, with the mine. Those folks. It's their responsibility to monitor things like that. Keep us in the loop. So I think this rights of nature is an opportunity to keep those lines of communication open and make sure that we are aware of what's going on in our watershed. So even though we don't have jurisdiction in the adjacent watershed areas, we do have, if we do collaborate, people who do have jurisdiction, we should be in pretty good shape. So that's kind of where I had it. And as I said, I'm happy to be the champion. A guardian in the subcommittee. Everybody else is interested in any way. It's welcome. So that's the people I'm closing is SAB appoints guardians. So that's DOT has enough. That's the purpose of modifications. So technically, I think the DOT's been working on regulating our own watersheds. So that activity is going on concurrently, defining our watershed. Jurisdiction. Right, so that's going to be taken care of, let's say, concurrent and complementary to the rights of nature. That's one aspect of the watershed, which is huge. The polar watershed goes from
here, I don't know why. So, to take advantage of the expertise, state level, at the county level. So sometimes consider boulder, to contact, monitor, water quality. So I think there are people out there doing this work. Just need to get some, but I think it can be obvious to me, talking to the state of Colorado and the reclamation group, they said, we don't have the staff to regulate everything. We operate on a squeaky wheel basis. So we want to be that squeaky wheel. And we want what's going on. What's going on? You know, the county, some years ago, got this on my radar screen. Several years ago, the county through bond, not everyone's putting this in discussions, and so I think decisions within areas around adjacent to Denver. So that's been established. I just think we want to stay in touch with people who can help us gather this data. Yeah, two questions or two suggestions. Number one is the commissioners. We have a new commissioner coming in who's very interested in this. And then the watershed alliance people, Miranda, who is it that she's been up here before?
Kate Dunlap is our point of contact for the current watershed. That she's with City of Boulder, and then Aaron Dodge is the Boulder County.
Okay, and then but there's a nonprofit, I think that out of Alliance.
Yeah, Maya
Yeah.
Hammer with Boulder Watershed Collective.
Yeah, I think those are the folks we should plug in with. Yeah. Definitely. So I'll follow up with you, Miranda, and get those.
Yeah.
Just to interject, I reached out to Maya after our last meeting and wasn't able to connect with her. So if someone does have a contact with her, I do think it would be worth having a conversation with them.
In my experience, it takes 3 attempts.
Yeah, I would say I have a pretty close relationship, so if you ever need help, I just know she's super, and so is Kieran here, but spread thin at the moment.
I'd be happy to reach out to Maya for you and yeah, make that connection.
Thanks.
Good suggestions. Any other questions or suggestions? Sure.
One observation, just on technical level, the resolution, the way I read it, it refers to Boulder Creek. And,
Boulder Creek watershed.
yeah, we have to get, I mean, that was that I'm like Boulder Creek. So this will never work as for now. You know, if you look at the map, which I did today out of curiosity, it's basically Middle Boulder Creek and probably North Beaver Creek, some tributaries. And after that, tricky, you know, and that's where we get a really good map. Going west, pretty easy, from my perspective. So, I mean, I do think it's important to get the language correct. So, you know, there's probably some framing language. I don't want to, but Boulder Creek, I mean, it just meant nothing to me to read. It was like, what is Boulder Creek? So Middle Boulder Creek, if you just want to start with that. But I go a little further. The other thing I want to say is this is brilliant work. I want to thank you, both you and Tom, and I'm hoping other BOT members who understand the importance of this going forward. And I'll just refer briefly to an episode that I had when I was on the board of the Eldora Civic Association in Eldora, Colorado. And the mine opened up. It was just a gold mine, and it was serious bad news. And we got together, and this is a nonprofit. We took on Boulder County as our first team ally, and they were right there with us. I conducted a series of meetings with all the mining authorities that you're talking about, who were afraid of us. And we shut that mine down. They were violating so many standards, including outrageous water standards. But it took a while, it took a year and a half, but we did it. In the future, something like this could occur, a real-time threat to Netherlands watershed, its actual watershed. And at this point, if we do our homework now correctly, especially building these alliances you're talking about, everyone that you mentioned, this is so brilliant. It could lead the set the stage for us at a later point to be able to take informative action if necessary to stop it. So congratulations. This is brilliant. I want to thank you.
Yeah, if you have some suggestions for fine-tuning the wording. And,
Oh, it's super important. But when you look at the map, I looked at it this morning. It's really important in precision, especially if you have to go to court, is fatal.
so let's work on that.
Yeah, so the town is trying to determine its watershed area right now, right? And so I'm wondering in this resolution, can we just refer to the Nederland watershed?
We can,
Right.
yeah, for now, because the map is coming together quickly. We're getting close, right, Marina?
Yeah, so we just need to talk with the surrounding jurisdictions. That's why we're not ready to release it quite yet, because I don't want it to get out there before we've talked to Boulder County and Guilford County.
Yeah, let's remember the annexation map that got loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one even crosses counties, so it gets a little dicey.
That's what, I think that's a good idea, Larry, to have it more inclusive. Tom's already working on that too. Let's together to make sure we get this with the wordsmiths. It's really helpful. And then, you know, making the comments. I might just suggest, like, broad language. All, and I think stream is a good term because creek, stream, river, it's all encompassed. That, you know, all streams passing through the town of Denham, their watersheds, and downhill, whatever the terminology is. It's been a while since I've studied that. Which is not even me. Not say the town's watershed, say the watershed of all streams running through the town and the streams.
So make it broad.
Make it broad, and then we don't need to get into nomenclature about, some of these creeks have seemed like they have 3 names, right? So, depending on where you are. That way, we don't care about it. We just care about the function.
Yeah, state statute is pretty specific in terms of mileage from the input. And the map we're putting together is pretty graphic. But I think you're right in terms of language. If you keep it broad, when you go to adjudicate, you could settle it at that point. But everything gets more expensive the looser you leave it.
Can I just ask, Rich, even your opinion on Nederland watershed? I mean, somebody said that. Did you say that? But what would you think of that? Nederland?
We're interested in more than the watershed. I think the watershed is going to be a technical term for the catchment area or a stream or a river. That's why we're just in general terms.
The water in the riparian area.
Right.
Yeah, somebody could dump something at the top of the divide.
Right.
That's outside of our boundaries. That could definitely affect us.
Right. That's the one. It's the watershed is the catchment area. Just like we're in the Atlantic Ocean watershed, right? Everything this side of the Continental Divide is in that watershed. Other side, that's the Pacific Ocean watershed, right? So, just I would tie, because we care about the streams, We even care about the stream going through Boulder Canyon, right? So, I would just say the entirety of those streams and their watersheds, if anything, and tie it to things that run through the town. Right, so that we really have a legal connection to the town, because it impacts us because they run through our city. That's
help us with the worst one.
yeah. Just as long as I'm not doing it in my capacity as a attorney, it's just the capacity as a person on the board.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate your time. Does anybody else want to be appointed as a guardian?
I think we all are.
We have to hold the board as a guardian, and then this is a subcommittee.
Yeah.
I should say the guardian subcommittee.
Get a t-shirt and a badge.
I would be interested in being on the subcommittee. I don't know how many people we want to have on the subcommittee.
3 is a good number. Right, thank you.
Now, there is that board member problem. And so
You have to post meetings, yeah.
And
We'll walk a half mile apart.
yeah, we need to make Ryan's life easier and not violent.
My suggestion is that the subcommittee be limited to 2 members. I will withdraw my.
Okay, we'll have an hour of the subcommittee, and then you.
I'll be the alternate.
Alternate.
You're the alternate,
So,
but that means I can't attend meetings unless one of you is unavailable. Otherwise, we will have sunshine law issues, so we don't want to have that.
Agreed. Yeah.
Sounds great. And then how often did we decide or did we not decide on this report?
I think
That's
it's an
annual?
or annual or frequent, that's appropriate. I mean, certainly be my goal to keep staff and DOT informed as we gather one comprehensive report. What we found out.
I know, Deputy Andrew was doing some testing on the water there too during that whole Caribou thing, and I don't know if she would be interested in joining a subcommittee and helping you guys, just throwing that out.
Do you want me to check?
Sure.
Okay, I'll give her a call.
All right, any other comments on the rights of nature resolution? I think the lawyer's comments are mostly addressed by it being the SEP and not separate people, right? And then there was an improving, it looks like that got changed, so I think that all got addressed.
Yeah, I would still like to send it through one more time with just these edits, just in case there's anything else Eric just wants to see. So how long can I expect we get the updated, finalized one from you?
Yeah, it might take a week or two to
Sure.
nail them down, and then we get it figured.
Okay, and I would just say, for those of you, Aaron Ladd is planning to do a water rights presentation before the Board of Trustees next week on October 4th, Tuesday. Same type of presentation he's done before, but I would encourage you to come. We aren't going to get too far, of course, into the watershed, but if you are interested, it's always a good presentation for him.
Who's doing the presentation?
Aaron Ladd, the water rights attorney.
Okay, well, I guess I would just say, I think it's very inappropriate for him to lobby for a reasonable. He is
So-
not a policymaker, it's a policy decision, and I think it's inappropriate.
Yes, all he'll do is give it just an informational presentation about water rights. And I mean, you've sat through it. Now, he is planning to have an executive session to talk legal strategies though with the Board of Trustees prior to the.
That's my feedback in the previous meeting with him. That it's not appropriate for someone who's a hired gun attorney to be advocating for Nederland development.
I hear you.
So, the term hired gun, that troubles me.
Consultant. Well, he's our water attorney, is that his title?
It is, he is, yeah.
In other words, he's not.
speaking from experience, I don't think attorneys object to being called a hired gun.
They're all worse.
Yeah, and there were times in my life where I took pride in the concept of being someone's hired gun, and that's sort of what you are, you're your client's
Mhm.
agent, and you do what is in the best interest of your client, regardless of your personal feelings on it. So I hear what you're saying, but I don't think any attorney's gonna take offense to that.
It is a consultant. I don't take offense to it either.
So it'll get a fair presentation. That's what we're counting.
Yeah, in that case, he's working on our behalf. Yeah, and for what it's worth, I gotta say, we talked about water rights about 60 days ago on the board. Nobody gave a shit. Nobody would get involved. And now everybody is, we went over to the water intake plants yesterday for a short session. It was supposed to be, for an hour, and at noon, everybody was still there. People are suddenly waking up to what could kill a town, and losing rights to their water. They're losing their water rights, or having them compromised in some way, are fatal, and people understand that.
Well, I'll add to that. I was at that meeting, and I'm one of those people who was fascinated by everything I saw, did not want to leave, kept asking questions.
Mhm.
And the whole issue of water rights and how the town of Nederland needs to do this forward-thinking process, it shocked me, standing there looking at the intake and listening to people who understand this process extremely well, the town employees. It completely changed my perspective on this. Water rights all of a sudden looms huge to me from the town of Netherlands perspective.
Yeah, seeing the fragility of one pipe that feeds all of us. That was existential. So I think we know we need, we know how to rank the priority.
All right, so everyone attend that BOT meeting next week if you can, and take a look at that presentation.
Could I just ask, when
Yeah.
was that going to be exactly?
Before,
Set at 7 o'clock,
7 o'clock.
virtually or in person.
is it, there's the executive session before, is it appropriate for this board to be included, or is it just for
No.
DOT?
It would just be for the BOT.
Okay.
Sorry. Not that we don't think you are fabulous.
Attorney-client.
Attorney-client privilege.
All right, so moving on to our second, well, in the rest of these, I just put in action just in case we needed to make a decision, but I wasn't sure necessarily for all of them. So the second one is the capstone project, and ideas for that, and that the application is due October 28th. So we got a month to get that together.
How's it coming out?
Melody, I just sent you an email with the ideas that we've emailed back and forth over the last few months. I don't know if it's easier for you to introduce some of those ideas just being in person, or if you'd prefer that I do that.
Yeah, I can run through them. So, number one here, and these are just ideas, like Erica said, that we've tossed around the last several times of, going through this and trying to get a capstone group up here again. So the first one here is electrification analysis, including assessment and strategic goals and a roadmap. So that would be getting people off of natural gas and onto electric appliances, what the challenges might be, how we might achieve that, some sort of plan put together to go through that. The second one is ecosystem analysis. So I would assume this is kind of part of a climate action plan, but also a separate thing. This was brought up, I think this is even from the original sustainability action plan back in 2014, just trying to identify what really can the ecosystem of the greater Nederland area support? You know, is there a limit of resources? Is there a limit of expansion? What might that look like? Water is definitely a part of that, right? So that's another idea. The third one here is develop a project that focuses on the last 2 years of the 100% renewable campaign, exploring various options that capitalize on current opportunities, community choice aggregation and policy, and other things that could be wrapped into that focus area. Do you want to explain that, Erica?
Yeah, so, just how do we get to 100%? Communities really struggle with the last 10, 15%. And so really getting more of kind of an updated action plan as far as reaching that goal. And again, these are just ideas we've tossed around. So we could incorporate a lot of these ideas into a climate action plan or an ecosystems assessment. But that's kind of what I was thinking with the pandemic really put a stall on, our 100% trajectory. We're definitely making up for lost time, but I would be curious to see if we could get a team that was excited about helping us reach this final goal in the next few years.
Great. And then the next one here is watershed mapping and analysis, which I think is currently being done. Is there any further things that would need to happen with that after this map that's currently being created?
Miranda, how close are we?
I'd say pretty close. I think we just need to have some of those conversations and then we'll be at a place where we can release maybe November.
Good.
To release it and start and adopt, I guess. And then following that is some legal time to draft ordinance language. But the big part is identifying the map.
Mhm.
What has to be done to make it an ordinance?
Chairman Matson does her thing, drafting legal language. I mean, she can do it pretty quick turnaround. Board of Trustees will have to do a first read and then a vote, and so that can take between 1 month to 2 months to do so.
Now that we're meeting every week, it should be
All
around.
right, it's totally on time. We can get lots done.
Right. And then the next one on the area is similar to the 100% group that we had before, a report on reaching carbon neutrality or like we just talked about tonight, a climate action plan. And then the last one is a group to reinvigorate the emerald chain idea that we had a while ago, which was just establishing more green spaces in town, and as well as continuity of that walking path through town. There's several places where you're just walking down 3rd Street or 2nd Street or what have you. So another kind of planner group that would work on something like that.
That overlap with things that Chris had with the
Yes, definitely. So does anybody have any particular leaning or another idea to throw out there? We're really looking for some sort of proposal that's really going to engage some college students to say, yeah, I really want to do that. That's going to make my resume look really good.
Melody, just to throw out there, for context, our capstone group that we worked with in 2018 created that beautiful report about our most tangible energy action items and the feasibility of each and how are we going to reach 100%. And they created that Excel document that I used to come up with the 302 subscriptions to reach 100% by 2025. So really awesome work. They're fantastic to work with. But we also had a sustainability champion grant that we put in for the matching grant at that year. And we were able to give them some funds to kind of compensate them for their efforts. And it is recommended to find compensation for these students. And so I just want to throw that out there. It would make us look potentially more competitive for these students if we had some kind of funds that we could match.
Yeah, thanks, Erica. That's a good point. Especially when we're considering what can we do with this C&D funding that we have. I can't remember how many, I know they weren't paid for everything. I can't remember how many hours they got paid for, but I want to say that each one of them got like $1,000 or 700 or something. But it was a significant little, check out to them for all that work that they put in. So, I definitely agree, that if we can pull some funding for that, I would like to have that happen.
I would second that, absolutely. And I've spent some time on the capstone document that Erica referred to. It's beautiful and it's detailed. And so just the first item that you mentioned, electrification and analysis of that. I mean, if it's the same type of team as they had in 2018, it might not be. I mean, who knows? But yeah, if they were going to do the same kind of work on an electrification for Nederland that they did for the earlier 2018, that would be incredible. So I just put my chips in for that one. But any of these sound great. What a great list. Thank you for putting it together.
Rich, do you have a leaning towards any of those?
Second.
Electrification.
Yeah.
Tom?
I always lean towards water. One of the things when we were talking yesterday, one of the things that's obvious now that you think about it, but you don't think too much about it until you see it, is water is gravity driven in this town. It all comes, we have to pump it all uphill. There's one of the biggest electricity costs in this town is pumping water uphill. And as the town expands, some of us, I never thought about this too much, but those of us that are downhill have much better water pressure than people that are uphill. If there's a hydrology person on this team, or one that's willing to take this on, I think take a look at our water map and how we distribute water in this town, and perhaps some allied watershed tasks might be helpful. It's not on the list, but it's something that, I think I was as moved by what I saw yesterday as Larry was. And I think there's something to be done here because it's clear that, we have a small team. They're really good technically, but from a strategy standpoint, they could use some help. And that's what this program does, is strategy. And water strategy, I think, is going to be a super valuable thing for a student to come out and go in the field and consult it.
Everything Tom said is wonderful regarding this. I can absolutely see this team deciding we want to take some project on related to what he's talking about. So, but it'd be good to know what that team wants to do. Mm-hmm. And so if there were a way to just put this list out to them, or just even as a suggestion list, and ask them what they want to do to help Nederland, we're gonna come out ahead.
Yeah, I talked with the capstone leader because we bring some of them into our programs at Guidehouse, and she's got a really good bead on who these people are and what their strengths are and what they're going to want to work on. And I'd like to shop this. I think we'll get the maximum impact if we have something that's super compelling, matches where they're going anyway.
So I plan to one of these meetings, talk to them in person.
They love meeting down for coffee in Boulder, South Boulder. Yeah,
They would love to come up to Nederland.
they'll do that too.
Like meet and greet down at campus where everybody who's got a project can sit and then all the students can go to all the different tables and kind of.
I like to shop it way in advance before that happens.
Yeah, I think what we were just talking about with the watershed, issues in general, construct of particular are very complementary. That could be a real interesting canvas to look at, but I do think this is really realistic. What got my attention the other day, I don't know if you saw the report, Excel Energy is going to be increasing natural gas prices 54%. So if that's not a motivation to get electric from, yeah, of course, obviously, there's still 60% fossil, but it's headed in the right direction. 54%. It's ridiculous. So I'm really glad I switched my stove. So
And Brandon, they'll call the front desk to wonder why their gas bill went up too.
I don't know if that's my mom. We cannot help them with that.
Chris Larson, do you have any particular sway towards a topic? Or Laura?
I feel like the electrification kind of pairs nicely with the US Solar Initiative. But I also think that what Tom is saying makes a lot of sense in that whatever the students are motivated by and excited about is important. And surely, the water issues are top of mind. So either one of those sounds to me to be kind of the most relevant of the ones that were on the list. Or I guess the water one wasn't on the list, but I like the electrification and the water, either of those.
So Eric, got to turn my mic on. So Erica, what do you need from us to kind of move forward with letting them know that yes, we're interested in a capstone group?
I'm just pulling up the email from Miles, and I can reach out and see, if we can just sit down and chat and see what would be more realistic as far as an interest to these students, and maybe ask if there's any funds that we could target to help support this. And then from there, it seems like you really need to have a solid proposal by the 28th. So we'll have to decide kind of which way we want to go and then see if there's students that are interested. But I think it's worth reaching out to the director and to see which ones he thinks would be more enticing. I'm also curious what Kieran's thoughts are from this conversation, being in this program right now and working on a project.
Yeah, I was just kind of trying to think about anything that I could add. I mean, it sounds like all of the ideas you have so far. I know that there would have been students in my cohort who would have totally been interested. So as far as that goes, I think you have a lot of like great ideas so far. I guess I could think about it a little bit and get back to you if you want some like just kind of student perspective on the process of like matching with capstone projects and kind of what appeals on the student end. I definitely can say that looking for some kind of matching funds, that's definitely something that students look for in capstone projects. It's sometimes even to the point where people prioritize their projects that way. But yeah, I would be happy to give it some thought and maybe get back to you with a little bit more perspective on that if you want.
On the consulting side, what I'm hearing a lot about right now, over the last 9 months, is the energy water nexus is what it's being called. And Larry and I saw this yesterday. This is one of the single biggest expenses of electric, in terms of load for the city, is running those pumps. And so if they were if I were getting ready to training to be a consultant, I think I'd really want to get familiar with the intersection of water and energy. And this might be a really neat project for that. That's what got my attention, because I do this for a living. And I think if I were a graduate student, I'd be looking at this too.
Again, I'd second what Tom's saying. This is the kind of potentially interesting, hands-on sort of project that could get people motivated. It also has a larger picture element to it. It's energy specific. However, what I'm hearing from Karen, first of all, Karen, we absolutely want student input. So on this, so thank you for being here, and going forward, we totally want it. But she mentioned matching funds, and how nice would it be if we could tell Karen right now as a board that they're going to happen at some level, even though we were not ready to decide this evening. Assuming it have to be an action item, going to do anything, we have to put it on the agenda. But is there some sort of, and I guess I'd ask Melody, is there something that we could do now, just to send out a message to Karen that some money from us will be coming forward to help these students?
Yeah, I mean, like Miranda mentioned, we do have some funds in the C&D program, and I don't think we'd come even close to using 16,000 on something like this. So I think it would be an easy ask to say, can we budget out that program $3,000 to $5,000, let's say, for a capstone group? Because they would start work next semester, right? So they would start work in 2023. I'm trying to look at how much we paid them before. I want to say over the course of this semester, it's looking like each one of them got about 1,500, and there was 3 of them, so that's like 4,500 total. So I'd be happy with next month when we come back with the C&D program, we can put an action item on the agenda for, let's say, 5,000 or something, and we can edit that number if we decide next month that's not a good number, but use that as a placeholder for now.
That sounds good. And Melody, as far as next steps, sounds like talking to the head of the program, getting feedback from Kieran, and then if you guys are comfortable based on the feedback I receive in that process, either fleshing out a project for electrification or for the energy water nexus. Does that feel comfortable for the board?
Yeah. Claire?
If there's a way of presenting these are our suggestions and our desires to them, but once again, sounding them out of what they want to do as a team. Sometimes it takes a little bit of back and forth and the process. Erica, you're fabulous at doing this, so if you were the one leading the conversation, I have a high degree of confidence.
Appreciate that, Larry. They want you to have a fleshed out project by the 28th for students to choose from. And I may be interpreting this incorrectly, but it sounds like they want you to have your project and what you're looking for pretty complete, obviously with room for iteration. But Melody, is that your understanding, or can we go with kind of an incomplete project idea?
That is my understanding too, having done this in the past, is that we do need a project that has like, these are the action steps that we want done. It doesn't have to be fully comprehensive, but it should be pretty outlined so that the students kind of know what they're getting themselves into. I'm wondering though, if maybe, after talking with the director and maybe Karen some more, we will have a better idea of where the students maybe are leaning. And as well, I mean, you know, that funding piece hopefully can sway some folks our way. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what I remember last time is that there was two kind of virtual calls where you could briefly present your idea to students and kind of see their reactions. They could ask you questions. And then there's like an in-person gathering event. And so I think there is opportunity to say, this is our project, this is what we fully fleshed out. But as we're talking to students, also say we are open to other suggestions and other ideas, and we, you know, look forward to fleshing that out. So I think there is a little bit of opportunity there to switch things up, but really we should have, like Erica say, a project idea that we're bringing to them.
I would just chime in to agree with that too. I think that the way that the kind of matching process works, I think that students will want to know at least like basically what the main project that they'll be working on is before they commit to ranking it as one of their top choices. Not to say that like specific deliverables can't sort of be flexible, but having a pretty fleshed out project is probably going to be attractive in the matching process.
Well, could we dwell just a moment further on you know, what stands out to me, I have this list, I can read it back to people, the original list that you gave to me if you want to hear it. Electrification analysis, ecosystem analysis, what can Netherlands support? Renewable campaign to get to Netherlands to 100%. Watershed analysis, including map. Report on carbon neutrality, possibility of that. What I had here is reinvigorate demo path, and that's just the three words that I got there, but I think what we're talking about is something related to trails and then that was the list that I had right there. So, but what I heard from people just chiming in was particularly two things: electrification and also watershed related. And so I'm just wondering, we narrow it down to those two. I'm people comfortable with that. Just even help have some guidance for capstone.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at. And by October 28th, we probably should choose between those two and pick one. I think the hard thing is that our meeting is the 27th, Erica. So I'm not sure how we move forward with choosing one of those between now and the time you have to put the application in. And I don't want to make you do two and have us submit two project ideas.
Another thing to note too is, you know, the electrification piece. I feel like I could write that on my own pretty confidently. I think the Earth energy water nexus, I would love to have other folks, Tom and Alan in particular, and Rich, be part of that project development, just to make sure that everything that's happening now is incorporated into that, at least at the BOT level and with the rights of nature. So that's something to think about too, as far as just other folks' capacity between now and the 28th. And just heads up, we also have a zero waste grant that's due right before this one. And then we have the Boulder County matching grant that's going to be due shortly after this. So we've got some other things happening simultaneously.
I can help with the Nexus one. I've got some of the stuff already written. I'll need a template to fit into, so. And on the electrification front, I mean, I think we're going to need to parse it and then slice it a little bit more because the topic is developing fairly quickly and you're going to have a thesis more thought out than just top level electrification. That's kind of 4 years old at this point.
I completely agree with that. Electrification it's just full of details. It just goes on and on forever. And it would be beyond Capstone's ability to even trot it out for us at the level that we need. But if they could take it down 1 or 2 levels deeper, then probably, I mean, it would take some work, the kind of work they did before. High level, detailed work. And that would tell us a lot that we don't know. And it would be, if they kept it specific, which might be possible, it would be so bad. So I'm all for the electrification. And, you know, Erica could set out a plan of just based on her thinking, just to get things going. And then let Capstone take it from there. If we want to go that way, the whole issue of water and also the energy water process, that's hugely important. And so either of those, as far as I'm concerned, would be immensely valuable.
So I wonder if we want to give Erica some time to get back with the Capstone leader and then maybe have a special meeting in 2 weeks, even just virtually if we don't meet all in this room, just to talk about what the Capstone director thinks students are going to be interested in and then kind of make this decision.
Eric, I'm traveling until past mid-month, so why don't you have that conversation? Let me know if you need help. Wherever I'm at, I can write. But I got a lot of travel coming up.
And a birthday, right?
And your mother's also right, the same day.
Same day, yeah. Monday.
Happy birthday.
Don't we have a SAB tradition where people get like whipped cream pie to the face, like the meeting before the
Yeah, I heard of that.
That's why I'm traveling. Just give me a fork.
Erica, would a meeting in about 2 weeks somewhere, would that work for you? You know, a Zoom meeting?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so 2 weeks from now, if we move it to a Thursday, because we usually meet on Thursdays, would be the 13th of October. Like I said, we could do it just a virtual one if we don't want to have everyone sit at the room. I'm seeing nods that works. So we'll hold it maybe tentatively for October 13th, and then Erica, you can kind of let us know if you've been able to connect with people between now and then. Sound good, everyone?
Would you like to set?
Or are you not?
Oh, well, no, I mean, I will be here in body, but I'm arriving from Hungary the day before, so I could be jet lagged. We'll see.
Hopefully, it'll be a quick meeting.
Did you want to set a time?
6:45 work for everybody?
And you just want me to send out a WebEx event?
Yes, please.
13.
All right, and the other 3 items here on the agenda are all grants. So the Charge Ahead grant, the BOCO Sustainability Matching Grant, and the Zero Waste Grant. So Erica, take it away and let us know what you need from us.
All right, so the Charge Ahead grant, just wanted to bring it up tonight in case anyone has an idea on other people we should connect with in town that would be interested in participating in this round. I have been in touch with the Presbyterian Church. We are going to put in a grant application this round for a dual port level 2 charger right off of the stop sign right by the church off of the Peak to Peak. So it'll be an awesome location. It's great for them. Their pastor actually drives an electric vehicle already, so he's really excited about it. And they're not concerned about the matching funds. So that's one that's happening. I haven't done this grant application myself yet, so actually Matt Hannon with PACE is going to help in the process. So that's fantastic. If there's other locations you all think would be good candidates, maybe you've already talked to them, please reach out, let me know. And I'm sure Matt would be excited to also help with additional applications this round. We have talked with Claudia, who manages the Tebow Plaza, and I need to follow up with her and see kind of where they're at. It is that 80-20 matching, so there is going to be a couple $1,000s at least, depending on that's just for the charging station, let alone the back end transmission lines and what needs to be done there at the location. If anyone has questions about that, please jump in, or I'll keep going.
I don't have any questions, and I know it's not really town of Nederland, it's more Boulder County thing, but I'm wondering about the housing development, the apartments there, and their parking lot, and if they have any plans of putting in chargers there for their residents or their residents visitors or anything along those lines, the housing authority.
Yeah, great question, Melody. So they did put in an application for the car share pilot that happened, I believe, in July. We haven't heard who's been awarded those pilots yet, but we could potentially have a car share, and that would be at least one dual port that would come with that. So I'll reach out to Leah. She was the contact that I had for the pilot program. And she works with them a lot already, and see what she knows and if they would be interested. So that's great suggestion, Melody. I'll follow up.
Yeah, and then as far as the shopping center, that was gonna be my other recommendation. I can definitely support on the back end, just trying to talk to those other businesses that are there and try to see if they would be in support, so that we, when Claudia does go to Tebow and say, hey, we're looking at this funding, I want to make sure that Trace Gringos and the liquor store and those art shops up top, et cetera, are all kind of on board with that. So I can definitely have some conversation with folks, and I know the carousel would be on board with that. So, yeah, cool.
Could the carousel put a charger outside the carousel directly, or would you guys be concerned about losing that person?
Because it's still Tebow, we couldn't, but it might help incentivize Tebow if the carousel was able to assist with that match that they're gonna need. So like, let's say the match is $10,000, maybe Tebow can do 8,000 and the carousel can do 2 or something like that. You know what I mean? But that I'll have to talk with Claudia about. But no, it's not our property, so we couldn't do it ourselves.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, if you don't mind reaching out to Claudia and loop me in wherever it's helpful, that would be awesome. Great. All right. Next one up is the Boulder County Sustainability Matching Grant. So this grant has been used in my time on the sub board for various things, but for the last 3 years, it has been used for my current position for the sustainability coordinator. So it is $15,000 for Nederland, and we have to apply for it annually. And I'm coming to y'all tonight to say, would you like to continue using these funds and applying for the $15,000 for the sustainability coordinator position, or would you like to think about using these funds in a different way? We are going to the BOT, and there's a number of positions that will be brought to the BOT for consideration for 2023 budget. And one of them is increasing the capacity of the sustainability coordinator role and potentially, making it a town staff position if that's something the BOT sees as valuable and as a priority. There are another number of other positions that are being looked at, but first and foremost, this $15,000 matching grant. When we first applied for the sustainability coordinator position 3 years ago, there was a consideration of how long can these funds be used for a sustainability coordinator, because these funds weren't designed to be used permanently for a sustainability coordinator role. Lions has used them in the past for a sustainability coordinator, and I believe that person was actually town staff. And so there's a bit of confusion for me personally on how long we could use these funds. But my understanding is that because this is a contracted position, we could actually use these funds for much longer than 3 years. Once this position becomes town staff, the idea is that it would be no more than 3 years where we can actually kind of help support this salary with this $15,000 from the matching grant. So just would love to open up the conversation and just see what the board is thinking as far as what we'd like to put in for this grant this year.
Yeah, I'll just start by saying I think ideally we would want sustainability to be incorporated into a town staff role. And I'm also weighing that in the balance of just what the town budget looks like right now. And so I would support using this grant to, again, help supplement the sustainability coordinator position and help us get it established for another year. I think what has happened over the last 2 years is there's kind of been an increase of how much town is putting into that, while the grant, match of 15,000 has remained the same. So I think I would urge for something similar happening where we can expand those hours again and town can commit a little bit more towards that position, and we still use that 15,000, and that's just a way to grow that position even larger. Maybe we can't quite reach full time, but it could be 0.75 FTE instead of about, I think it's like 20 right now, 25, somewhere around there. So that would be where I would go. How about others?
I agree.
I'm seeing lots of nods and thumbs up.
Did I hear you say that you wanted to see it as converted into a staff position for next year?
Not necessarily for next year, but I do think eventually. And I'd also just like to mention that I think even though the letter of the law might say we can fund a sustainability consultant, but we can't fund a town staff position indefinitely, I think we should try to stick to the spirit of the law as much as we can and really do try to wean this position off of that grant funding, and so that 2-3 years from now we actually have that grant funding to use on projects and such. And I would probably push a lot more strongly for that right now, except for just the situation that's going on. So that's kind of where I stand, and I'm seeing nods and thumbs up. So I think we're all on board for that.
Could I ask another clarifying question?
Yeah.
Did I hear you say increase to 3/4 time in there, or?
As an example, yeah, increase it beyond what it is currently.
Which is half time, is that correct?
Yeah.
It's currently 25 hours.
So if we could get up to 30 or 32, you know.
Where would the extra money come from?
That would be us petitioning the BOT during their budget cycle to increase that line item for the sustainability coordinator. I think I'm not sure how much it would be to increase another 5 hours over the whole year. Can do math pretty quick, but not that quickly without numbers in front of me. But you know that C&D funding is a possibility. Depending on how the election goes, you know, with various different increases in tax measures, I think we can't really say for sure where that money can come from. But it would be us petitioning the BOT to basically block out an increase in funding for that position, and they very well may say no. But I would urge that we at least ask. And so then on that note, also, I suppose, should we have Erica writing her own grant to staff her own position? I feel a little awkward about that, and I think, I just don't know.
I'm happy to go with that.
I think it's being involved in grants for positions before. It's pretty common, I think, for the person who's going to be taking the salary to write the grant for themselves. Because they have the most information to do it. And frankly,
Erica's done it
The
for the last 3
incentive-
years.
the incentive to get it right.
Yeah.
So,
Great, excellent, thank you.
Okay, how do you feel about all that?
Melody, I would love to get a vote just to have that and just make sure that everyone feels comfortable with this.
Yeah, of course. So I will move that we recommend that we apply for the Boulder County Sustainability Matching Grant to again secure funding for our sustainability coordinator. And that in conjunction with that effort, we also ask the BOT for a increase in that position's hours to 30 hours a week. Do I have a second?
second.
Melody, I think we're asking for full time. Miranda can speak to
You
that.
are asking for full time.
I'm going for the full time talking.
Okay, I'm hesitant, but
My thought is, let's go, let's ask for the full time and then use this as a scaled back opportunity.
okay.
We proposed full time last year, so to me, there's no reason why we wouldn't continue with the track we did last year. Because last year, if you recall, parks manager and sustainability coordinator manager were like neck and neck. And
Yeah.
ultimately it became parks. So to me, it's why wouldn't we keep going? So yeah, thanks, Erica. That is the plan. And then I'd like this in our like back pocket.
Okay, so I amend
Well,
that
to
to
stay.
full time.
You can.
Do I need to though?
No.
Okay.
I second the amendment.
All right, so we will call a vote and we'll start over here. Alan,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Melody, yes. Rich,
Yeah, yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
and Chris.
I hear yes.
We'll note for the record that we don't hear a response from Chris, but we're gonna assume he's on board.
I like that.
I think legally we assume that's an abstention.
I can read his mind, don't you know?
Well, I think no, unanimous, so that's the people who.
So thank you, everyone. One additional piece to think about is that the county commissioners would like to have a report on this grant every year. And so for the last few years, Garrett has written a script and then sent it to me and then did like 3 PowerPoint slides, and I just recorded my own voice and then he put them over the slides. That would be, I feel like that would be a little awkward for me to do. So if somebody else would be willing to read a script that I write and then just record it, and then that's played at the county commissioners meeting when they review, before they actually agree for this next round, they review what's happened in the last round. Is somebody comfortable with that I could follow up with them?
I would just say, I think Larry has a very interesting voice, and it would be great as a narrator.
Thank you. I'm happy to do this.
Fantastic. Thanks, Larry. I'll follow up with you.
Great.
All right, on to the next one. So the zero waste grant is coming around again. This has been increased from 50,000 in years prior to $100,000 this year. Our very own Cody Lilstrom, who makes his regular appearances in Nederland, is running this grant. And actually heard from him today at the RCAB meeting, the Resource Conservation Advisory Board for Boulder County. And this grant is open. It's closing the 24th at 2 p.m. And the Zero Waste Subcommittee has their sights on an LED sign. Larry, would you like to take it away from here?
It's funny how things work out in group processes. And one of the delightful things about working on this zero waste project is the team that we have. It's a disparate group of people, but they're very motivated and intelligent. And so when we first started out, we were talking about a sign. And I was the one who said, you know, a great LED sign is the way to go. We're talking about a sign at the transfer station, so that it would be big enough and bright enough and attractive enough that when you drove up, to me, this is what I was presenting, when you just drove up to the transfer station while you're waiting to be served by the attendant there would be this big sign, and it would have waste-related information, ideally around recycling or composting, but also related things such as the town cleanup day. I mean, how about for a month ahead of time, it's just flashing town cleanup day with some basic information. So it turns out that there are a world of these signs available, and some of them are cheapies that look good online, and they're $1,000. And so I got involved in this, and I was like, well, could we really get a great looking sign for $1,000? But now I'm thinking we can't, because the crummy electronics and support systems that are necessary to program the signs, I'm worried about these. And I checked into a little bit, and it's like, a lot of them just look funky to me. Maybe they'll work for 3 months or something. And then also, how easy are they going to be to use? Because after all, who's going to be programming these signs? So this is what I meant about the world of, it just gets intensely complicated. Because all of a sudden now, I've been pushing for an LED sign. Well, guess what? In the meantime, others at first were like, oh, what LEDs, but now others are in favor of it, even as I'm starting to move away from it because I'm afraid of the tremendous cost for a very decent sign. Erica put out a little notice to I guess was it a contractor, Erica, and she got back a $10,000 just general bid.
Yeah.
And that freaked me out. I was planning for 1,000, and now here's 10,000. But you know what? 10,000 might be what would be necessary to provide something that would have a long-term, like solid interface for programming and etc. And this $100,000 grant, this is for all of Boulder County. So, Nederland, what, population 1,500, it's like, what? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like, how much money can we ask for? I mean, how great are we? We are great, I admit, but still, You know, so the idea to me of putting out a grant proposal for $10,000 for an LED sign, I'm just not there, even though I was the one who first pushed it out. And so, but now I'm trying to be, I'm the chair of this committee, Erica helps facilitate it, but it's like, I'm not gonna push something down. If others wanna do this, I guess, then I'm gonna follow their lead. But I would really love, in all our time tonight, but if I could get like a very quick, even 10-second feedback from people about because what I'm thinking about are things like blue site display boxes that we could put on actual disposal facilities. I'm thinking about some special disposal cans we can use, and we need 3 of each for anything we're going to do: landfill, compost, and recycle. I'm thinking about new equipment, recycling equipment or composting that the town could use and actually is asked for. So I'm moving away myself from the fancy LED and back into the ground-based stuff, which would be a low-level grant for maybe 2, 3, 4, 5,000, which would be reasonable. So I'm going to stop there. I would like some feedback, and also Erica, I'm sure she has something to say on this.
Thanks, Larry. Just wanted to add, I just got an updated quote for $23,000. And this was a company that Cody recommended that works with Boulder County a lot already. So that was definitely shocking, and not a good option given the grant is limited to $15,000 per project. Larry, one thing we haven't talked about, I've been emailing with Cinda and Cody about, is Cinda found a sign that's just shy of 4,000, which looks to be pretty good quality and is supposed to hold up to our conditions, our winds and our cold temps. So it seems like that if it's viable, and Cody likes it, which is the key, could be a good option. But yeah, I'll stop there. I'd love to hear other projects you all are thinking about and what you think about an LED sign at the transfer station.
I'm totally in support of some sort of announcement LED sign. I think that's a great idea. It's the place that most people go. There are people that, have Western or what have you, in my neighborhood. So I know it won't catch everybody, but I think it will catch a large swath, as well as, when we think of the transfer station and getting something at the transfer station, it's not necessarily just Nederland. It's maybe the full 7,000 community that is the outer area. So I think that's good to note. Another thing that I have heard a lot from people walking down the street, people coming into the carousel, the kind of visitors to our town, and I know that this has kind of been a back and forth with town staff for a while, is composting bins available throughout town. We have a lot of people that come into the carousel and they're like, I got this great compostable food from the food truck, but now that I walked across town, there's no place for me to trash it. And so we do take a lot of people's trash at the carousel because there's not necessarily a trash can in the B&F parking lot for good reason. But so anybody who's kind of on that side of town, I've definitely heard comments of where can I throw away my compostable straw from my moon cup and things like that. So if there is an effort to look at compost trash cans around town, maybe in conjunction with an effort of like education and or monitoring around those cans, because I know that's been the public works issue with things. I'd be in support of that as well. Anyone else? I'm not seeing any other suggestions.
Melody, I appreciate your comment about compost. I think that's a very important piece of our zero waste commitment that we signed in 2012. And I do think I think it would take a little bit bigger map as far as how do we support town staff and utilities, and how do we support education and outreach, and to plug in this sign, but on Dunch is this is also about compost, and doing some outreach and education around compost, and ideally this in-vessel facility that Boulder County will be putting there, and it may be like a gateway to like a larger compost campaign.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, excellent. I got what I wanted. I just want some feedback on this. I'm hearing LED sign if possible, and we have a champion with Cody. So we are really lucky.
You know, the only thing I would say about the LED sign is I would hope we would do a design where it's not visible from Ridge Road. Because I could see that being very distracting for drivers, and not that there's a great deal of foot traffic or cross traffic there, but we don't want to create a distraction for people as they drive down.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, as far as zero waste goes right now, I think that the point we've kind of gotten to every discussion has been education, education, education. So I can definitely see where this sign would be, you know, moving forward on that great need to help people know what's recyclable, what's compostable, especially with the new requirements coming down for compost. But 23,000, yeah, that sounds about right. I was looking at outdoor kiosks for some other reason. More like an interactive type thing though, where you could like push and touch buttons. But yeah, it was 10 to 20,000 for something that's really, really nice. And so I'm wondering, is this 4,000 one, is that something that's used that somebody has that we would be purchasing?
This is from a company out of Austin, and looks like it's a bunch of screens that are connected together and then display seamlessly. So
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, it has a 5-year warranty. It should be holding up. I still need to call the person myself. Cinda on the Zero Waste Subcommittee has done the initial contact. But I agree. Yeah, and you know, our weather up here can be wicked. So it would be nice to know that something can hold up and be more robust. The other idea we've talked about is just getting a big display case where, you know, there's a lot of handmade signs at the transfer station where we could put posters in a case and they're protected and they could all be in one area. Let's say it's, you know, pretty large sign bank. And especially if there's a reuse barn, that's where the styrofoam shed is now. And it could kind of go right up against there where people can see it. You know, maybe 2 cars could see it at a time, and just be kind of a hub of information. But we'll see kind of where we land. I'm going to talk to this company out of Austin this week, and we'll regroup at our next zero waste meeting next week and let you all know. But it sounds like we have support to move forward with some type of outreach communication sign of some sort.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. Thanks, everyone. So I have just, as an update for you all, it was in my report, but I just wanted to let you know that we did do another round of PACE assessments. Matt came up, I think on the 15th or 16th, and we went to the Presbyterian Church for the charge ahead, and then also did an interior assessment for energy efficiency. The liquor store across the street hopefully can take advantage of some amazing rebates. I don't know if I've shared with you all, but Pace has rebates available, and it's a first come, first serve for a number of different projects for businesses. They need to be small businesses, I think under 2,500 square feet, and they include up to 70% rebate for replacing refrigerators that are were installed before 2005 or were created before 2005. So that's amazing. Similar with solar rebates, there's $1 per kilowatt installed up to $15,000, which is incredible. I know BC Brews is taking advantage of some of that. There wasn't actually much funds left by the time they applied, but they just were able to get a few $1,000s towards their system that they're working on right now. But a really great opportunity for small businesses. So if you all know anyone that hasn't yet had a PACE assessment, please connect them with myself or Matt Hannon. And he's really trying to come up here once a month, and definitely in the winter season because he likes to snowboard. So it's not hard to get him up here. But really cool opportunities. There's an LED plug and play program that basically Excel will come in and replace any fluorescent bulbs with LED bulbs. It's a white glove service. They'll take the old bulbs away, they'll install the new ones. It's a pretty awesome opportunity for our businesses to save quite a bit of money. Some of our refrigerators around town have fluorescent bulbs in the refrigerator. So literally these bulbs are creating heat in a refrigerator that's trying to cool food. So, huge benefit there. Does anybody have any questions about, I know we've talked about PACE and these grants and lots of things tonight. Anything additional to talk about that hasn't been mentioned? I know you all are doing amazing things around town.
I was just wondering, Erica, where's this money coming from, these rebates?
So the PACE rebates, the solar rebate money and the rebates for these refrigerator replacements, that's actually money that is allocated by the county commissioners for the PACE program. And it sounds like that money is going to be increased this next year, but it's kind of TBD until the county commissioners vote on it. But yeah, it's a limited pot, and basically the sooner folks take advantage of it, it's a first come, first serve.
Great. Does anybody else have anything to discuss, to put on the agenda for next month, to update us on?
What are we bidding? What's next month?
So we will have a special meeting on the 13th regarding the capstone project, should be quick. And then the SAB meeting is the 27th, 6:45. The regular SAB meeting. All right, well, thank you guys all for another great and productive meeting. Just over 2 hours here. And we will adjourn the meeting at 9:45 p.m.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you, Erica.